Caribou, other new YouTube channel. Joey only up here in Wells, BC, 3,953 feet above sea level in the Caribou Mountains with your look at the weather. Yeah, there's a lot of fire stories in Canada. Has been a lot of fire stories, but things are changing. I mean, right now, things are really bad in the Maritimes, but there's some maybe rain in the future for them, a little bit. Things have been very dry in southern Ontario. They've taken some rain. Things have been very dry in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, where there's been a lot of fires. They just had a rainfall warning that set down a lot of rain last night when those thunderstorms moved through, and we got some fire problems in British Columbia, most notably on Vancouver Island, where I have a number of friends who are there working. Good luck to you, boys and girls. Stay safe. Joey's watching out for you. Good news for you. Rain is coming to that fire, too. We got atmospheric river situation in BC. Now, I said Mark Ingalls is saying that atmospheric river is possible in British Columbia. And I said, well, I don't see that, but it wasn't me disagreeing. If I was really in disagreement, I wouldn't have brought it up. In fact, I'm kind of like putting that out there at the time. Like, Mark's saying this, I don't see it, but maybe you should know that Mark's saying this. I'm kind of seeing it now. Okay, so we'll talk about all that. Rain is coming. Rain is going to help change the story in a lot of places. It's a great news show. Let's go. There it is.
This is bad news. My God. Anything could happen. Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video in.
Up in this. Hey there, hit like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. I'm really struggling to keep the channel going, as you've known. But things are going good. We are growing, and certainly since I got monetized on Facebook, that's helping, and lots of subscribers and donations and supporters out there. Appreciate you all. People sending in letters of support to Joey Only, Box 82, Wells, BC, Victor 05. Wait, I'm getting my address is V0K2R0. Yeah. That's right, V0K2R0. I almost got my childhood postal code mixed up there. Anyways, let's look at the friggin' maps, okay? Let's go. Hit like, share, subscribe, become a channel member, support Joey. Let's go. Okay, it's the bad news battle board right now. Special air quality statement. Still showing smoke down there. That will change. We got a rainfall warning already on the coast. On the mainland side, unfortunately, the way rain shadow goes, it may not get enough rain in some of the places, but rain's coming. There's going to be a lot of rain coming through, so I think you got enough to set fire to stun. You're going to stun the fire a little bit. You're going to slow it down, going to make it sit down. So 50 millimeters of rain, maybe 80 in the higher terrain, poor visibility, water pooling, this and that. Metro Vancouver, North Shore, West Vancouver, North Vancouver, Metro Vancouver, Coquitlam, Maple Ridge, Squamish, Bowen Island, Gibson, unseasonably moisture-laden system will cross BC South Coast on Friday, bringing rain. Of course, atmospheric rivers are unusual in British Columbia. This time of year they are. The warm front arrives Friday morning with rain and strong southerly winds. The cold front comes Friday afternoon, brings the heaviest rainfall rates during the afternoon commute. The rain will end late evening around there. So recreationalists are encouraged to avoid. You're encouraged to pay attention to rises and falls in the creek levels and this and that. So as we know today, there is some very strong thunderstorm potential in Manitoba, although I don't see any severe watches on the board yet. We do have the rainfall warning now switched over to the northern Manitoba side, 50 millimeters of rain expected into Friday there. On the Saskatchewan side, that will end tonight. Good news, we still have heat warnings, not in Ontario, but we still have heat warnings at least in the East Coast there. However, some rain is beginning to form there. We have a severe thunderstorm watch in New Brunswick. Let's hope that doesn't start fires. We do have air quality statements there, and heat on the East Coast still. We've been breaking records out there this week. Okay, before we look at the rainfall situation, let's look at the fire story right now. Here's Victor 7149 on Vancouver Island. Showed some real head fire intensity there, showing some growth since last night there near Mount Underwood. Okay, so that's the big one that everyone's really talking about. That's very close to Port Alberni. It's dangerously close. Absolutely, of course. I mean, good thing the rain is coming to set this down. You'd need a good southerly to push it up there, although we sometimes get those southerlies in BC. So luckily, this event is kind of lining up with the atmospheric river. Hopefully, the winds ahead of time don't push that fire too much. Otherwise, things are mostly quiet in BC. Even up in the far north, things are mostly quiet. This is some of the best fire activity we've seen in some time, until you get up near not near Yellowknife, but relatively speaking near Yellowknife. Some of the fires up there are still happy to keep burning, but look at the activity today in Saskatchewan. Took a big step back. Activity in Manitoba today, most of these fires showing very minimal growth, very minimal activity. If you're looking at, this is the last 24 hours is what we're looking at here, so hot spot thermal scans the last 24 hours. Mostly looking pretty good. Couple of these are suspicious, but all in all, Ontario seems to have gotten through its fire threat for the most part without too much extreme excitement. If we go over to New Brunswick and see what's going on there, a couple fire dots in Nova Scotia. I know it's big time talk of the town that people are banned from going in the backwoods in Nova Scotia. And I mean, it is controversial. I don't like it. I wouldn't like it if it happened here. And BC has never gone to that extreme, saying, well, you can't even go for a walk or go fishing or something like that in your forest. One thing to keep in mind is that Nova Scotia is pretty small and a lot of people live in the woods there. So, I mean, fire gets away and starts doing things there. I mean, it could cross, we've seen fires cross this distance in Saskatchewan. Like the whole province of Nova Scotia would have burnt up if it was in that part of Saskatchewan. In terms of fire behavior in Newfoundland, yeah, this guy's showing some growth. Some of that smoke was coming into St. John's, unfortunately. Same with some of this fire smoke there on the outskirts of St. John's, Newfoundland. All in all, though, nothing too crazy as far as I'm concerned going on the island. And then we head up north into Labrador. Nothing too crazy. So, I mean, really, when you consider how bad fire situations have been in Canada many years, it's August 14th, and that's pretty minimal heat signatures, as it is right now. There is some that are certainly out there growing, but some of those are going to take rain. Some of the story is going to turn around a little bit. Let's get to the story. Let's play the Who Gets Rain game now with Joey. So there's our low up on the coast. It's kind of warbling around out there. Not able to come in line and land for some reason. It's warbling around, and it's going to lash the BC coast with lots of rain over the next little while as we go through the weekend. BC looking kind of unsettled, maybe improving slightly from, as we get later in the weekend. Looks like by Monday, warming again temporarily in the province. That's great news. What have we seen? Have we seen a little bit of rain in the East Coast? Just a little. Here's that line moving through. So there is a chance that we take a little bit of rain at least in the maritime provinces this weekend. We're hoping for that. High pressure establishing itself in Ontario, perhaps a bit more moisture in the North Prairies, so that's good news for them. And then warming trend next week a little bit in Western Canada, but we still have this low off the coast that still threatens to give us unstable weather. And as long as that low keeps sort of popping up there, the next one's kind of waiting to come on in. The threat of rainy weather not being too far away in BC shows up. Look at this. We have a hurricane, 942 millibar. So we have a hurricane expected on the East Coast. And where does GFS think it's going to go? Right by Canadian maritime provinces. So here's the thing too, that's by the 22nd, that's a little ways out. But if we don't take substantial rain and there is fires burning at that time, I am concerned at what hurricane force winds or tropical storm force winds might do to our fire situation there. So that would be somewhat like Hawaii years ago, where we had big fires there because hurricane was going nearby, creating windy conditions, even though the area wasn't getting hit directly by a hurricane. So although we have a 40% chance of cyclone formation there in the Gulf of Mexico, near the Bay of Campeche, this is the one we're talking about, Tropical Storm Erin. Where do we think it's going to go? Well, locally heavy rainfall right now is happening. Tropical storm force winds there. Uncertainty what the impacts might be. We have kind of an idea of where its direction is going to be so far, but it's early. It's early in the story. So we're going to be watching to see if this thing takes its turn north and what that looks like. I'm not saying a hurricane's coming to Eastern Canada. I'm saying that forecast possibility does exist. Just like I've been saying that chance of tornado does exist today in southeastern Manitoba, western Ontario. We can see there in the NATO cast viewer here. Right, we're looking at wind possibility strong there. Looking at hail possibility strong in those same places. So we have 2% chance of tornado in the that's going, I mean, it stops at the U.S. border, but that's because it's a U.S. Maps. That does extend into Canada, so we do have that risk of tornado in Manitoba today, but that is also part of the low pressure system that's bringing all the rain to the north, so that's great. Higher chance of hail, 15% chance or greater risk of hail today. So strong winds, hail, tornadoes, all that possible in Manitoba this afternoon. So one thing that I'm looking at here is on this GFS modeling, we're seeing that BC is really sitting on either having the jet stream cross right through us or we're on the north side of it. So I'm not personally feeling like we have great weather in the next week coming at us in terms of like hot weather and things like that. Now, I'm not saying this will change, but that's my personal feeling that we have. Hey, you can see this big low pressure bubble we've been talking about in the Gulf of Alaska feeding instability into us, feeding moisture inland. And I think that's going to keep things a little bit more unsettled than maybe we would expect into late August. So there is now the La Nina watch that's been put on. Meteorologist Mark isn't too convinced that anything exciting is going to happen. Isn't convinced that means we're going to have a big rainy winter, a big snowy winter. But I mean, in some regards, this last year has been a little bit wetter than the years beforehand. So I see a continuation of the trend we've been on. It's probably more likely how that will manifest itself. And that, to me, is what we're seeing right here when you have that low in the upper level low in the Gulf of Alaska, and it's shoveling the crap into us. But look at that. As you go across Canada, it really seems like rainfall is going to be the story for a lot of people. And wait, here's Hurricane Erin coming. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Boom. Here comes the hurricane. Here comes the hurricane. Where's it going to go? It's going to get steered off. Probably not hit directly Canadian maritime provinces, but like I say, it will have an effect. And even when you look at the fire danger ratings today, you see that Gaspé, Quebec, New Brunswick, parts of Nova Scotia, parts of Newfoundland are really, really bad, while the risk remains low through much of the rest of Canada. This is a great fire danger risk map. I mean, there's been some fire stories. They've had to have some evacuations of Vancouver Island. Yes, Vancouver Island is in the extreme category for fire danger. But all in all, looking across Canada right now, there's this stubborn, relentless burning area that seems to have the right conditions in Northwest Territories. That continues. I mean, it's a little drier in the Caribou and Chilcotin and up towards western sections of the central interior. But I mean, really, this is great. Let's go to August 17th, for example, and just see how the map changes for fire danger. You can see it worsens in Northwest Territories, but everywhere else shows improvement. We're going to see fire improvement across the board, even in Nova Scotia. I mean, that's not a complete resetting of the table, but look at that. It is for Newfoundland mostly. It is for all Quebec. It is for most of Ontario. It is for Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, northern BC. This rainfall that's going to come through, we got a rainy pattern that's going to manifest itself in British Columbia. It will more or less move across the continent and spread rain lovingly as it does so. Well, here's our big low today. As you can see, it's out in northern Manitoba, northern Saskatchewan right now, putting a lot of rainfall down. As you can see, there's no red dots today. The fires just aren't standing up today because of all this rain. So it's been really good news for them. They needed this rain really badly up there. We can see rainfall up into the coast possible. We can see that this low pressure is messy, but it's going to try to do something here. We're just going to go switch right straight to rain and thunder, and we're going to stick on the ECMWF modeling, and we're going to have a look here. Thunderstorms, so we got that severe thunderstorm watch going on in New Brunswick. So thunderstorms there could put some rain, but could start some fires as well. It's not a very precipitation heavy situation going on here in BC coast. This afternoon, some chance of shower up and down the coast, strong winds picking up on the coast. I'm a little bit worried that the strong winds may translate to some risky fire behavior. So that is one problem we have to worry about. We'll just click the wind gusts here and see. So as you see up and down BC coast, strong wind gusts. Do these wind gusts make it inland at all? Not looking great for it. So that is my concern, at least. If we get to Friday afternoon, we're seeing heavy winds ahead of time. I expect that. But the good news is by that time, we'll be seeing rain. So we're hoping that the winds don't precede the rain, that the winds can stay more or less off the west coast there, more or less. So you can see that major rain now by Friday afternoon, up and down Vancouver Island, up the coast, up into the Olympics there in Washington State. And maybe there's a gap in the BC interior where some of this gets switched over, left over. But all in all, some pretty healthy rain coming all through BC. Sparing some of the province, sure, but even the cooler weather, even the cloud cover is going to have an effect. We're going to see temperatures kind of bounce down a little bit for a little while in BC. Okay, so now that low is in northern Quebec. Tailing in behind it on the front is thunderstorm outbreak that's possibly coming into Ontario on the weekend. So what we're hoping to see is more rainfall for Ontario. They've been very, very dry. As you can see, Saturday morning, looking pretty wet in the BC interior. We're going to stop right here because we're going to look at something in the BC interior. Still not the appreciable rain yet in the Maritimes. I know, we'll come back to you, Maritimes. And have a look. BC interior, going to see thunderstorms on Saturday. Yeah, going to look good. But look at all the rain we're getting. Look at all the rain across the board. These aren't dry lightning storms. These are pretty rain heavy. In fact, I would call these rain storms that have lightning in them is kind of the best way to describe it. It's like, whereas I think a couple weeks ago when we had very dry conditions and real deal thunderstorms are building up, like here in Saskatchewan, these are real deal thunderstorms. They are thunderstorms that are developing. This is rain that's going to have thunderstorms in it, is kind of more how I characterize the situation here. There'll be some instability, and we're going to see some thunderstorms in the Cariboo Central Interior and whatnot. I'm not expecting anything crazy to go on, but that's good news for me. I want to see a thunderstorm. Hopefully, I can find one that day. Hopefully, all the story isn't in Saskatchewan only. As you can see, thunderstorms moving across Central Ontario that afternoon. We'll switch back over to rain and thunder here. We're hoping that this line makes its way into the East Coast this weekend. Bam, here it goes. That's going to change the story for Gaspé on Sunday. If this happens the way it does, there we got the rainfall moving through New Brunswick. Boom, that's a good line of rain. That's some solid rain. That should help at least temporarily set fire behavior down, if not drench some of them pretty good there. So that is the good news. Why don't we go to rain accumulation just to prove my point a little bit stronger here. We'll bounce it back to... Here's the next 24 hours, BC coast, northern Saskatchewan, western Ontario, northern Manitoba. Watch this next one spread on out. You can see BC taking a good rainfall. You can see Ontario, much of it taking a good rainfall. Quebec, Newfoundland, even the East Coast by Sunday. We're going to see a bit of rain everywhere in Canada. The fire situation is going to change almost everywhere except maybe the Northwest Territories, but even they are at risk of getting some rain. So here's the good news, my friends. Fire season is winding down. It's not over. There'll be stories still in the future, but look at these impressive rain totals. I mean, if we're getting this on the BC coast, that'll be very helpful. 200 millimeters up there. Wow. Near Port Alberni, 140 millimeters, whatnot. We're going to see a big change in the fire story, my friends. We're going to see a big change. We'll even see a big change in a lot of places as we go further east. I mean, these aren't crazy numbers, but hey, if they get 30, 40 millimeters, 25 millimeters in places, that would be great. Some of these areas where you're seeing less than that, unfortunately, you could probably use more. But things are looking up, friends. So I hope I convinced you to not panic. Hit like, share, subscribe. Joey Only, the Caribou Weather Dude. He's the only guy like him, man. He's the only one going to tell you the shit the way it friggin' is, okay? Make sure you come to the podcast tonight, 6:30 p.m., right here on the channel. Joey Only, Frankie McDonald, Brandon Houck, and everybody. Next week, Thursday, on the show, we have Jordan Carruthers, Extreme Storm Chaser. We got great shows for you, friends. Can't wait. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.